We are wrapping up our theme this month of connective relationships. And as we talked about at the very beginning of the month, the most important relationship that we are ever going to have and foster and be able to embellish and honor is that relationship with our own self, our own higher self, that self that begins with a capital S. Our God self, our divine self, that is always within us, never goes anywhere. We don't have to meet it at any particular place because it is always, always within us. And as spiritual beings having a human experience, we also have that ego self that has the small s. And many times that ego self dominates. It tells us we're separate. It tells us we're not enough. It tells us that we are to judge and that we are to label and that we are to compare and contrast. It tells us to live in fear. Our real self tells us to live in love. So number one, we get our priorities straight. And I would strongly suggest, it's really great because and now that I'm retired from my day job, people ask me, how's it going for you? How's that working? And my initial response is, the best thing about it is that I don't have to wake up to an alarm clock and that I can take the time in the morning to put the big rocks in first and take the time for my readings, prayer, meditation, stretching, all of that, and it's fabulous. And I have to say, I would always do my prayer work and my readings. But somehow or another, the meditation and the stretching kind of got by the wayside many times when I was working. Now that I don't have that restriction and I'm able to sit in the silence really for as long as I want. I have been participating again with Deepak Chopra's 21-day free meditation that they give several times during the year. And it's basically about a 20-minute thing. And, he talks for about 5 minutes or so, and then it's maybe a 15-minute meditation. And I'm finding myself that literally, by the time his little bell rings and it's, quote, done, I'm just at that point getting settled in and being able to get to that higher level of a consciousness, which is the super consciousness of meditation. And so I'm loving it. It's just a wonderful thing. And I have been seeing some results. I have been noticing that I have been much more attuned and aware of that still small voice, call it what you will, that is always guiding and directing us and leading us. It's there. And I'm able to hear it more now and able to respond and go with it more now than I ever have. So I would highly, strongly suggest, as I think I've done this many times, to take the time in the morning to put the big rocks in first, to do your prayer work, to do your meditations, to do I have to do stretching. When you get to be 70 years old, gravity starts sucking and things start crimping up, and you need to, move it or lose it, they say. So do all of those things first thing in the morning and you're set for the day. One of my prayers that I say every day comes from our involvement with the Universal Dances of Peace. And it's the closing prayer that they use there. And it says, "O thou, who art the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, life, Lord of heaven and earth, open our hearts that we may hear thy voice, which constantly comes from within. Disclose to us thy divine light, which is hidden in our souls, so that we may know and understand life better. Most merciful and compassionate God, give us thy great goodness. Teach us thy loving forgiveness. Raise us above the distinctions and differences that divide. Send us the peace of thy divine spirit and unite us all in thy perfect being. I just love the energy and the essence and the wisdom that is in that prayer, because it really helps set you for the day. And I have handed this out before to you guys in the past, but if you would like another copy of it, I can give it to you. So since we're on relationships, and the most important and vital relationship is the one that we have with God, with our true self, with our God's self, then it's important to get to know it, to get friends with it, to honor that relationship, and to be grateful. The topic this morning is to appreciate. What's the name of the thing? Expressing appreciation. And so when you're in your quiet time and when you're in that meditative state, say thank you for your body, for this body that is supporting this eternal soul that has come to rest in it for a little while, that's come to play on this earth plane for a little while. Give your body some love, give your body some appreciation, saying thank you for housing me. Thank you for all the things you're doing for me. Can you imagine if we had to stop and consciously tell the body everything that it's doing? It would be mind-boggling. There would be no way. We are not taking care of the body consciously, are we? And God is doing that. This energy, this overall energy of creativity is dealing and giving us this life. Be grateful for it. Say thank you. It will respond. We all know that when you give appreciation, when you give recognition, when you have high expectations, that people respond. I know that in a school situation, teachers, they have a high expectation for their students, they respond. And your body and your emotions, your relationships can all have that same response when we take the time to honor and be grateful for it. We also, though, as I said, are human, and we have this wonderful little ego that really wants to be in control and dominate and, bring us all these thoughts. I have been listening to some podcasts from Marianne Williams, who is really a guru on the Course in Miracles. But I wanted to share a couple of things that I picked up from her teachings this last week. She was saying that one of the things she has learned is that when something is amiss, when her ego self, how many of you know when the ego's talking, first of all? We hope that you recognize it, first of all. When the ego is talking, it is judging, it is labeling, it is condemning, it is whatever, right? And so the first thing we need to know is to be aware of it, to stop and go, okay, that's the ego talking. Do I need to go down that road, or do I need to choose another path? Well, Marianne Williams was talking about this event that she had one time in her life, an incident. She was getting her nails done, and she's in a nail salon, just sitting there listening, and all these other ladies are chatting around her, just listening. And she hears this one woman just speaking rather aloof, and the manner in which she was speaking just seemed to be to Mary Ann's ego self, wow, who does she think she is? And started really recognizing that, boy, this lady is something else. She recognized what she was doing, and so she stopped, and she has this pattern, which she does. She has a response to quote, get her out of that, and it is, dear God, I am willing to see this from another perspective. I am willing to see this from another perspective. That's all she did. As the conversation in the room went on and on, she knows nothing of these ladies. She has no clue who they are. The one woman said to another friend said to this woman, "Oh, I understand your father got out of jail." And the conversation went on to say that this woman had been raised in a torturous situation. As a child, she was raised in a basement without any contact with anyone. And when they finally discovered her, of course, the father went to jail, but she had not learned how to speak. She had never learned how to speak. And so doing her best, she studied. She tried, she's doing, well, how do I speak? How do I do this? And she brought herself by her education in trying to learn to speak was to be very precise and have this tone about her that, she was confident, she was this and that, when it was the furthest thing from the truth that could be, from her history. So Mary Ann said when she recognized why this woman was speaking the way she was doing her best. That what did she have then? She had compassion. She had empathy for her. Things are going on all the time in someone else's life that we have no idea. And that little ego self wants to judge, wants to categorize, wants to make us right and them wrong. When in actuality, the truth of the matter is, the reality of the matter is that there is only love. Love is what is running this universe. That's what we are. And when we are appreciative of it, when we are recognizing it, when we know that I am a holy self, I am whole and I am holy, and there is no difference between me and you, that we all are. We all have what I have been calling this divine golden thread of energy that links us all. And yes, we're all different. We're all unique. Of course, we're none of us the same. That's what's the fabulous thing about this life, that nothing is duplicated. But that love is generating it all. So we're talking today about being appreciative, about being able to praise, about looking with the eyes of God, to see that love, even if someone is covering it up with their actions. Mary Ann Williamson was also saying that several years ago she shared a story, and at the time she said that it was somebody else, and she said, but it was really me, but I didn't want to claim it. She said, I had this boyfriend, and we were dating, and he left me for another woman. And she said, well, the only reason you want to be around her is because she tells you how great you are all the time. And then she realized it was like a brick in the forehead. Well, duh, of course. If someone's telling you how great you are all the time, wouldn't you want to be around them? We have this tendency, and I say we because, I'm right there in there, to categorize, to criticize, when we can just as easily stop and say, I am willing to be open to another perspective and to be willing to be open to another way to look at this. It's not that difficult to stop yourself in your tracks when you know that your ego self is taking over. You cannot look at anyone and see their wholeness and see their love when you are judging from their actions, especially from actions from the past. Many times we bring that forward. And so what is one of the clues that we do? I've been working with this with my coach Martha Creek is forgiveness work. Forgive, forgive, forgive. Let it go. Forgive others and forgive yourself. Each day is a brand new day, a brand new opportunity to be open to see with the eyes of love and let love lead us. So we don't have to be right or wrong. We don't have to judge. I wanted to share what one of the master teachers, the master teacher, Jesus the Christ, told us. It's in Matthew chapter 7. Judge not that ye may not be judged. For with the same judgment that you judge, you will be judged, and with that same measure with which you measure, it will be measured to you. Why do you see the splinter which is in your brother's eye, and do not feel the beam which is in your own? Or how can you say to your brother, let me take out that splinter from your eye, and behold, there is a beam in your own eye? O hypocrites! First take out the beam from your own eye, and then you will see clearly to get out the splinter from your other's eye. Which leads me to another point. If we are judging, if we are criticizing, if we have done something and we recognize that, you know what, that was coming from my lesser self, be willing to go to the person and apologize. Be willing to stand up and say, you know what I did was not right. What I did was not coming from my holy self, and I'm sorry. I apologize. I got to do that just yesterday. I did something that, in my haste, that afterward, I thought, that wasn't right. And I was able to go back to the person and say, you know what, I'm sorry. That wasn't the best way to do it. I shouldn't have done it that way. When we are fostering connective relationships, we want to be kind. Kindness is just one of the most simple ways that we can show and express our love. We can be kind to ourselves, and we can be kind to others. We can let go of all of the hurts, all of the things that they did wrong or that I did wrong, that forgiveness work, and be kind to ourselves. We can be open to seeing the divine in someone else and acknowledge it. Be able to appreciate them. I've been reading and I've been sharing with you some of the information from Marshall Rosenberg's Nonviolent Communication book. And a couple weeks ago, we had the topic of expressing your feelings. And it's interesting because many times we don't know what our feelings are. We get confused because we think we're feeling something when it's not an emotion. It's not something we're feeling, it's something we're thinking. And I wanted to share this one more time because it's important. Because when we say, in my thought for the week, what we read earlier, we said, well, how can you express your gratitude to someone? There's a 3-step method. You tell the person what they did. You acknowledge that, oh, you did this. Tell them what need it filled in you. Thank you for doing that because, da-da-da, whatever that need was. And the third is to tell them how you feel. How did that make you feel? Well, if you're confused about what you're feeling and what you're thinking, that throws you off kilter. So I wanted to just reiterate that one more time to you. In general, feelings are not clearly expressed when the word feel is followed by words such as that, like, and if. I feel that you should know better. I feel like a failure. I feel as if I'm living with a wall. by the pronouns I, you, and he. I feel I am constantly on call. I feel it is useless. I feel Amy has been pretty responsible. I feel my boss is manipulative. Those aren't feelings. Those are your thoughts about what that person is doing. I feel inadequate as a guitar player. Your expressions of your feelings are, I feel disappointed. Disappointed is a feeling. Inadequate is an assessment. Do you see the difference on it? I feel disappointed that I'm not as good as a guitar player. I feel impatient with myself. I feel frustrated with myself. Those are feelings. And it's important to know the difference. Because you can't have a good communication with someone if you're not telling them what you're really feeling. You're telling them what your assessment is of yourself or them. So he's suggesting that you use words that are likely to make you feel you are being met. Let's see. Oh, no, that's not it. Words like ignored are how we interpret others, rather than how you feel. These are sampling of the words: abandoned, abused, attacked, betrayed. When all in actuality, you're feeling sad. You're feeling less than. When we share from our hearts really what's going on, then we can communicate more readily with the other person, and they can understand us more. The woman that, when I told the story a couple weeks ago, where she said, or my husband acts, I feel like I'm living with a wall, because he just sits there. He doesn't say anything, he just sits there. And of course, her exclamation of that encourages him to do just that. Yeah, see, I'm going to show you, this is what I do. And when all she could really say is, I'd like to have more communication with you. I feel sad that I can't get an expression from you. It makes a big difference. So if you know what you're feeling, express it honestly, openly, and then let the other person say it back to you. We're here on this earth plane, I believe, to heal, to grow, to emerge this self that we are at a higher level. And sometimes we have bars on us, these little spurs, and we rub up against somebody else, and they have bars and spurs too, and we rub up and, it's an irritant. Look for the guide, the gift, what is that experience giving me? What is the potential here that God, this universe, this beautiful, loving energy has set up for me to learn from, to grow through? Because we're all going to have those moments of stop and breathe, honor it, recognize it, love yourself first. I love the song that came up spontaneously today. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful, as we had that as our congregational song last Sunday. To be honoring the fact that we are all beautiful beings. We are all here doing the best we can do. We all are here to have different buttons pushed at different times, and to stop and say, I am willing to look at this from another perspective. I am willing to see with the eyes of God. I am willing to be kind to myself. I am willing to be appreciative of what is right before me. I am willing to let go and forgive whatever the past is in the past and let it go. I am willing to let love lead me, this day into a higher energy level of consciousness than I have ever before experienced. Yes, I see with the eyes of love. Yes, I hear with a heart of love. Yes, I am with a heart of love. Yes, I live in the heart of God. Yes, I see with the eyes of God. See with the eyes of God. Hear with the ears and the heart of God. Be that higher self, always. And you will have no lengthy challenges with relationships. And it is so. Namaste.